delivered right to your door. A revolution, your evolution goes off the world. E-Zone, E-Zone. From everywhere, really see. E-Zone, E-Zone. Fast, easy, affordable. Shop on the net and get it here through the E-Zone.
E-Zone St. Vincent, local agent to BMC agencies.
Whatever you are celebrating, birthdays, anniversaries, engagements, retirement, or just celebrating life, the place to be is at Basil's Bar Kingstown. Established for over 38 years, we are open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with an exquisite ambiance. We have a set menu and 3 a la carte menus to choose from, and we are flexible to all requests. We go above and beyond to serve you. Basil's Bar Kingstown, where it's more than just a meal, it's an adventure. Call for reservations at 457-2713.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
And we are back with you for another segment of our Activated Mornings program here on WEFM. For those of you in need of a time check, it is 8:18. Okay. In studio, it's Dianna, Cain, Nicole, Joseph Chin, and myself, Roleza Samuel. And just a reminder that we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. All right, so ladies, gather around. Those of us here in studio and those of you listening to us in Radio Land, gather around. Did you know that there is no such thing as common law wife? So I'm reading this from Asbot News Network, and this was a contribution made by, what's his name? Max Ron Holder, and it's titled The Law with Max, No Ring, No Rights. So I'm going to read everything. It's kind of short, so let me just read it in full, all right? So he says, I was in a trial last week when a woman took the stand and confidently introduced herself as her late partner's common law wife. They had lived together for more than 30 years. According to her, she had helped to maintain the home, paid bills, and cared for him throughout his illness. When he died, she genuinely believed that she was entitled to a share of the house they shared. The hard truth is, under the law of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there is no such thing as common law wife. No matter how long you've lived together or how deep the relationship, cohabitation alone does not create property rights. That said, you may still be entitled to a share of the home, not because of the relationship, but because of your financial contributions. So he says, here's what you need to know. If you've contributed financially toward the property, whether through paying for renovations, covering bills, or even household chores, you might have a claim to a share of the property. A constructive trust arises when one person contributes to a property they do not legally own, with the exception that they will benefit from it in some way. All right. So your contributions, no matter how small, may be seen as a basis for a legal claim, as long as there was a common understanding between you and your partner that you would have a share in the property. Number 2, if you contributed directly to the purchase price of the property, but the deed was registered solely in your partner's name, a resultant trust may arise. This means that the equity may recognize your financial contribution by granting you a proportionate beneficial interest in the property. 3, people mistakenly believe that long-term cohabitation creates common law marriage rights. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, however, there is no such thing as a common law spouse. Without a marriage certificate, you cannot automatically claim a percentage of the property in the event of a split. The property remains the legal possession of the registered owner, whose name the deed is in. If your partner dies, the fourth and final one, if your partner dies without a will, you will not automatically inherit their house. Even if you've lived there for years, in the absence of a will, the property will pass to their family members or designated heirs, not you. Yes, those same relatives, including the son you said should not get anything when he dies. Oh, let me say that over. Including the son he said should not get anything when he dies, and the wife he claimed he was no longer with, but never divorced, can legally step in and claim the property. They can even require you to leave. So final thing or final thoughts here in this article: protect your rights and consider how your contributions and legal status may impact your claim to a family home. Always consult with an attorney to understand the nuances of property rights, especially in the context of unmarried relationships. And I felt that this was so important for us to discuss because there are times when I wonder how many women find themselves in this situation. They have been cohabiting with a man. We tend to use the term common law very commonly here in SVG in terms of saying that I am this person's common law spouse. And the automatic assumption is that whatever property you've been living in together for donkey years, that when this person dies, once your name is not on it, that you are automatically going to be in possession of it. And as the law states, and as we've read this morning, that is not the case. It's going to pass. If he has left a will, well, it's going to pass to whoever it is he's designated in his will. Or without the presence of a will, it's going to pass to his family members instead. All right, so let's discuss women. How do y'all feel hearing about this?
Me, I was never one to think that anything that the man has would automatically be mine.
Even if you're there and you had children with him.
Yeah,
and all
I mean,
that?
I know better than to think that.
Okay.
I know these things have legal implications. So I know that if we're not married, legally, we are not a couple, then I don't have any rights to your things. So I never really, sat down and thought about owning these things like that. So it wasn't really news to me like that, but I hope that women are listening, and women who are living in situations like that and who truly believe that they have to get something if their partner dies or, something happens to them. I hope that they know that this is not the case, that they will listen and go, oh, me not listen to that man, that's just so and so. That you will really take it seriously, because you will end up heartbroken. You're going to be the one who will end up hurt, and you may feel as though you are wronged, but according to the law, that's how it is.
Yeah, I see my mother asking, so I guess it's the same for common law husband. I believe it's the same thing, yes. It would be the same for the man who is living in a property that is registered, or the deed is in a woman's name, and if they've been cohabiting for years, it's going to be the same thing, right? Nicole?
And I was just about to say, it actually works. It actually goes in favor of the men, against the men as well. So it really is across the board, just if you're not protected by a cohabitation act that is in your jurisdiction and applicable. So sadly, people need to be aware. I think it really starts with familiarization. But when you're in that relationship, you don't think about those things. You really don't think about it. Sometimes you're so love, you want to buy the car, you want to buy the house, you want to add a room, you want to fix the roof, you want to do whatever. And as I said, it goes both ways for the men and the women. And so it's really about protecting yourself. However, as Dianna said, I have zero expectations about property and assets, because my philosophy is I'm not taking it with me anyway. But I will also, as I like to ensure that I understand my comforts, my creature comforts. So that is something I pray I am not ever subject to, because I think I will always question things anyway, and I will always take care of what I need and what I think I need provision for. But it's so unfortunate when it happens, especially from what you've just read. And I wasn't aware that it wasn't covered in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And again, different countries will already have established the Cohabitation Act in benefit of these relationships. In Trinidad and Tobago, I think it's 5 years and more. And it's also if there are children in the union and things like that. So again, you have to know, you have to understand. Besides thinking, okay, it's existing to protect me, you have to also understand what are the actual details therein, so you could understand where you are protected.
Yeah. I remember having a conversation recently with somebody, and they were saying that, well, I think it was a man in the relationship, but what they were doing is that they were keeping records of everything. They were keeping records of everything, like every contribution that they made. So I don't know if it's an Excel sheet or what. But,
Like it's in a Milo and thing?
yeah, like they keep a receipt of everything because, you know, should something happen, they need to be able to state, well, I have made a contribution to this household.
Well,
you know,
if I gotta live like that, I don't want it.
but you
can't
do
live like
realize
that.
you kind of have
Stick it
to. But you kind
I
of have
cannot
to
live like that.
because we'll pick it up after. Coach, your morning.
Morning. It's basically kind of the same in a way, but you have a 5 year, but you still have to go and prove that you actually live with a person 5 years. You know? I mean, a lot of people end up because they lost it 5 years. They think we could just live 5 years just so without evidence that you actually live with that person for 5 years. So you have to have documentation to prove like you've been paying bills, you know, like the water bill, the light bill, you know, something you've been paying in your name in that house with the same address. You know, you have to have some evidence that you were an occupant, you live in that house. Not unless as Nicole say, if you have kids with the person, then that's a big evidence because the kids could come and testify that they live in this house for much years and you know this is mommy and daddy. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But you have to have the evidence to back up. You can't just go and say, oh yeah, I was living with Kojo for 5 years, he dead now, I want my shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Even though you probably was.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you was, but you have to have some evidence to prove and to back up. Because, you know, an outside child, as you say, an ex-wife with him, she might be ex in the sense that she's not with him, but the divorce paper wasn't signed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if she's been victim, she could just walk in and say, "Watch me, that's my husband."
Mm-hmm.
And she could, and as a matter of fact, she could take over the funeral and everything, you know.
True. Yes. Mm-hmm.
She could write you off from the day you dead. She could just walk and take everything over right there, meaning that you can't even go to see the body anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been living with that person for that amount of time. You know, so that's what, as Dianna said. Yeah, I don't have to say it. You know, ladies know what I say when I say what Beyonce say.
Yes. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da.
All the ladies singing now. All the ladies singing now.
Yes, please.
Oh God.
All right. Have a good one, Kojo. Thanks.
Nice one, Kojo.
All right.
But you know, I'd rather be single for real, you know. Let me tell you this.
Wait, hold on.
I'd
Mrs.
rather be
Josephson. Let me hear this.
Yes, I'm telling you, I'd rather be single. Because the pressure that goes with trying to navigate what your security is, to me, that is a lot of work. It's a lot of mental gymnastics. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your physical health. And your emotional health is just down a slope, and it's, you know, in different directions all the time. Mm-hmm. And I feel, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, and I cannot, this is one of those you listen and you don't judge. But for me, I would rather my well-being, my peace of mind, and I will rather just be single. If it is you writing down the tin of Milo and the date you buy it, and the date that you open it, because the date and the purchase date and the date of opening might coincide, right? And you want to write the date that the last one finished and how long it lasts.
You just keep the receipts and the grocery bills. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you see, why it is that I was a little bit, I said, you know what? You know, sometimes you kind of, when you're 18 and like between 18 and 20, you have a plan for your life and how you want your life to go. Mm-hmm. When I read this afterwards, I said, Jesus, praise Jesus. God, you knew what it is you was doing and why it is my life did not go the way it did. I thought I wanted for it to go at that time because, You see me in this situation. It's one of those things where my whole thing right now is when it is that I get to the age of retirement, I need to know where it is I'm going to live, right? I need to know that I am going to be safe, I'm going to be secure. And who knows, maybe at the age of 25 or 22, I might have ended up in a relationship. Let's say ended up in a common law relationship. Many times women actually want to get married, but the men keeps dragging their foot and they're stalling this and, and
you
sometimes
got to know when to run.
know when to fold it. Okay.
Yeah, pack up and leave.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Many times women in these common law situations, you've already had children. You've already maybe made some sort of investment into the home. And because of that, you have that emotional tie already that you just don't want to have to start over.
See, women sometimes, fellas, no hard feelings to you. You know, there are a lot of good ones among you. But I think that women sometimes need to borrow some of the selfishness of the males and just because a man can easily think about himself. Look how fathers will drop their children and just go and just live in life and not even care if this child live or die. And for most mothers it's not as easy for them to do that. I think sometimes you just need to just think like a man.
Yeah, but you see, but in thinking like a man, remember when these men do that, they are rolling free, right? A mother is going to be tied emotionally to her children. So regardless, she's not going to just pick up because she is rolling with the children. Right. So she's going to face the financial burdens, and not just her, right? In terms of her own personal expenses. You could do that when you're rolling by yourself solo. But if you have children, you are going to be thinking of everything else. You're going to be thinking of their comfort. Yes, you might want to move out to the house that you're living with this man who refuses to marry you. A nice 3, 4, 5 bedroom house, right? You're saying, I'm tired of this. I want to leave this relationship, right? He's not taking me seriously. I'm being taken for granted. When you have to place your children in a 1-bedroom house and all of you sleeping on the ground, a woman is going to think of those things. So this is why she's going to stay in the situation.
Well, she could stay in the situation, but she will have to ask herself to what end. You're going to stay there unhappy, knowing that you're not happy, and you're going to think that your children are getting the best version of you, but really and truly they're not, and you're probably battling depression and all sorts of things that will probably take you to somewhere you don't want to go. You have to just ask yourself, to what end? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to put up with this man because of this, because of that. And then you find yourself at the late, when you're probably in your old age in life, you realize that you can't even remember when you were happy. You probably were happy as a child. And it will be so disappointing and heartbreaking for you to have lived an entire adult life and you were not happy, even though you claim you were doing something for somebody else. You have to look out for yourself as well. So you're going to stay there and continue to put up with it and put up with it and put up with it. Till when? A lot of women had abusive men and I love him so much. Oh, but when he forgives me, he brings me this. And then guess what? They died. Now, what are you going to do with the flowers he buy you when you're dead? What are you going to do with the gifts he brought when he done knock in your face and he bring you can't have those things when you're dead. Then what? You think he's going to mourn you? No, he's moving on. On to the next, and you're dead. To what end?
So I get you. I think sometimes you would get to a point when you're just fed up. I always say that a woman's breaking point is when she's absolutely fed up. And when she's absolutely fed up, that's it. There is no convincing her of anything else. You can come with all the sweet talk you want. It will not change a thing. But it takes a while to get to that point, and it takes a while for you to be able to stand strong and to be firm with what it is that you're saying. But I also want to say another thing here as well. So we are looking at it in the context of a man doing right by the woman, and let's say they're living in a common law situation, getting married to her, at least putting her name on the deed, etc. But another reason why women have to look out for themselves, and of course, yes, we're also talking about men as well, because we know that there are some men who end up living with a woman who owns a property, all right? So as much as we're saying women, we also including men in the whole conversation, all right? Men, because I know some of you are going to be like, what happened to the men? But anyhow, right? One of the things you also have to look out for is don't think that your child would not put you out of this house. I am going to tell you that there are some children, once property is involved, they become very ungrateful, all right? They no longer think about the mother who sacrificed and did this and did that for them. There are some children who, once that father or once who is ever named the deed is on, once that person has passed and property comes into play, they put their parents out. All right. So this is why you also have to be protective and you have to safeguard these are the things. I know love is a strong emotion. Yeah, you know, we are always tied to love, and love blinds us, and love causes us to delay so many things. But you have to be able to try to secure yourself. I mean, yes, I know Nicole said you can't take the property with you when you're dying, but when you have passed away. But remember, you have to deal with the comforts of your life while you are still here. You know,
and that's why I say you have to secure yourself. You know the alphabet that says A for apple, B for bat, C about yourself.
Never heard that one. Never heard that. Okay, I am going to use that on somebody.
I love it.
Yes, you definitely do. All right, so I hope that this conversation helps to spark some women who might find themselves in this situation. You know, and even I always say in the context of me, because I own a property that's in the name of the bank, but till then the bank, you know, yeah. So, but I always say if I ever get married, I am going to let this man know up front that he might have lifetime interest in the house until he passes. I think that's the term, lifetime interest. But the property is going to go to maybe one of my nieces, right? So I think also you have to be upfront and honest when it comes to these things. You don't want to fool the man into thinking or having him think that, okay, so when she passes, automatically he's going to inherit the house, etc. I for me personally, not going down that road with anybody, right? So if this causes me to lose a potential husband, so be it. All right. But yeah, you also have to be honest about certain things as well. So,
you know, I always say if I get married, you know, when that time comes, even if my husband has a house or he builds a house for us, I'm still a build my own house, because boy, me not take too kindly to hear come out of my before you finish a sentence, me don't pack up and go, you know.
But you know,
I hear that.
But you know, my contractor was telling me that he's saying he well, at the time that I built, he said that he realized that there were many women who were building their own homes. And he said nothing more than when y'all get into an argument, the first thing you're going to tell them is come out of my house. And I'm there like, I pray I never use those words on a man. Never have, because I know how it is going to impact on them emotionally. I know that there are men who say they're not moving into a woman's house, but I mean, it's not my fault. I wasn't waiting around for marriage to live in a house, or to have a house. I wasn't going to wait. So it is what it is. That's the reality of the situation. But we have to be upfront and honest about a lot of things. And people need to try to secure themselves, and doing it in the legal way. Try sort yourself out, folks. All right. So any final thoughts before we head on out? No? Silence is consent. So we headed on out. All right, so we are going to take a break, and at 8:45, we should be joined by the lovely Lisa for today's edition of our Courts Desk.